Hi, Volume 7. This is my book with a toddler Jesus on the front and Mary sewing. And uh, Volume 7 of the Bible series. The Bible story. And then on the back, it has Joseph, the carpenter, at work. He's got shavings down at the bottom of his feet, and him with his plane and his hammer. And we are at. Oops, give me a second. We are at Part 1, Story 8. This is the one. That's what it says. If you could have been in the temple at Jerusalem about 6 weeks after Jesus was born, you would have seen a very old man looking eagerly at the babies that mothers and fathers would bring to the priest for dedication. Actually, a little earlier, because they're supposed to have, 3 days? 3 to 6 days. Um, but this is a different thing. His name was Simeon. Yeah, Simeon. And he had been interested in the babies for a long time now. Mothers loved the way he looked at their children as though he really cared about them. They thought he was a very kind-hearted old man, and he was. But he was more than just a kindly old grandfather. Excuse me. He was a scholar and knew the Holy Scriptures from Genesis to Malachi. For years and years, he had been looking for the consolation of Israel. He had studied all the prophecies about the Messiah, and was sure in his heart that the time had come for him to appear. And he was told he was gonna come during his lifetime, and he was a very, very old man. I've heard and read. What more, the Lord had told him that he would not die until he had seen the child of promise. See, that's why he looked so keenly at every baby brought to the temple. Of course, the parents didn't know what was going on in his mind, but he was asking himself all the time, could this be the one, or this, or this? Every day, mothers and fathers would be there with their newborn children to dedicate them to God and offer thanks offering, and Simeon never tired of talking with them and looking at their babies. Day after day he searched for the one he longed to see. One day, as he entered the temple, he noticed two poorly dressed people who had come to dedicate their little son. Uh, that there that they were Galileans, he could see by their garments. That they were poor was clear from the fact that they were carrying two birds in a cage for their offerings. Because the birds was the ones for the very poor. A pair of turtle doves or two young pigeons was the gift that only the poorest people were supposed to bring. Simeon never had seen these people before, but there was something about them that interested him very much, particularly the young woman with the sweet, gentle face. Here he felt sure was one who loved the Lord. There was no doubt about it. He looked down at the child, and suddenly his heart stirred. Somehow it came to him all of a sudden. It was as though the voice of God had spoken to him, saying, "This is the Messiah. This is the one of whom you have been looking for so long." So he finally got to go have it. Um, let me finish the story. Tears happily rolled down the old man's cheeks as, taking the precious baby and holding him close, he said, "Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace, according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared before the face of all people, a light to lighten the Gentiles, and the glory of thy people Israel." Joseph and Mary looked on, amazed. The Bible says they marveled at the things Simeon was saying about their child. And Mary may well had said to herself, "How does he know? Did Gabriel talk to him too?" Then the old man turned to Joseph and Mary and blessed them. Looking at Mary's eager, upturned face, he spoke. And then it's Herbert Rudin. Uh, it's a painting, illustration, and it's the illustration itself, not my camera. You can see the light of Simeon holding Jesus, the light on him while he's at the temple, which is 6 miles away from where they are at. Okay. Looking into Mary's eager, upturned face, he spake directly to her, saying, "Behold, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, and from a sign which shall be spoken against. Yea," and it's in parentheses. "Yea, a sword shall pierce through thine own heart also, and that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed." Mary wondered what it meant. What a strange destiny was ahead of her precious little Jesus. How would he cause people to fall and then rise? And what was this about a sword piercing her soul? Was not her child to become king of Israel? How then can there be any suffering? Someday she would understand, but not now. Hardly had the time to think about Simeon's strange words before an elderly woman came hurrying over to them. Her name was Anna. She was 84 years old and a prophetess. All excited, she took one look at Mary and her baby and began to thank God uh, aloud that he had sent the Messiah at last. People around her and came to see what was going on. Eagerly Anna told her story and spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. Some beloved her, some believed her, others doubted, but most just said, "What a lovely baby," and went on their way without giving the matter another thought. But to Mary, the words of Simeon and Anna meant a great deal. Now she was more sure than ever that her baby was indeed the Messiah, the child of promise and prophecy. And then it has a cage of 2 turtle doves down at the bottom. And to me, it looks like a watercolor, the original, but it could be just the printing process they did. And that was the end of part 1, story 8. So we're going to take, like I normally do, the break, and then we'll be back in a bit.